Hello and welcome, and in this video we're going to be looking at how you use the quadratic formula. Now I've put on the screen for you the quadratic formula, and then this also is the general format for a quadratic equation. So when you look at a particular example for this, you will have values for the a, for the b and for the c, something like so. So in our case you can see that a is going to be 2, b is -5 and c is -3. Now I need to set this whole thing equal to 0. This quadratic formula here works to find x values when the quadratic is equal to 0, or if the question says something like find the roots, then you could also use this formula. So once you've identified a, b and c, you can either label like I have done there, or it can make it nice and clear to write them at the side like so. A is 2, b is -5 and c is -3. Once you've found those, then you can use the quadratic formula and just substitute in instead of b, a and c. So in my case, b is -5, and if you look at the quadratic formula, we actually want minus b. So you end up with -5, like so. Then we have the plus minus, the square root. B is -5, so we want -5 all squared. The whole thing needs to be squared, so you want those brackets in there. -4 times a times c, where a and c are 2 and -3. Now this whole thing is going to be divided, so make sure your division sign goes all the way across, and it's all divided by 2a, which in my case a is 2. Now once you've substituted, you could go and type this whole thing into your calculator. So you would, for this plus minus part, you would remove 1. So for instance, just focus on the positive, type it all in, press equals. Then you change that positive to a negative, do it again, press equals, you will have 2 solutions. If you don't have a calculator, you could go and work this out pen and paper. So we have -5, which is going to be +5, plus minus the square root. Now -5 times -5 is 25. And then we have -2 times 4, which is -8, times -3 is +24. And then all this is being divided by 2 times 2. Now, you could have partially worked it out and then at this point think, okay, now I want to use my calculator, or we do have further workings that we can do pen and paper, because 25 plus 24 is 49. All this has been divided by 4, and I know that 7 squared is 49. So because 49 is a square number, we can also take the square root, and so the square root is going to be 7. So we're actually going to have 2 solutions here. We have 5 plus 7 all over 4. Or I have a second solution at 5 minus 7 all over 4. So 5 plus 7 is 12, divided by 4 will give me x is 5 plus 7, 12, divided by 4 is 3. Or 5 minus 7 is -2, divided by 4 is -1/2. And these are the 2 solutions for x, and I have solved my problem. Now, on the other side of the screen, I'm going to put up an equation for you to try. So if you'd like to pause the video, go grab yourself a pen and paper and see if you can work through this in the same way that I just did. Okay, if you have an answer, hopefully you have done something like this. So in this case, we have a is 1, b is -1, c is -12. You work your way through, and then you should get values of x is -3 or x is +4. If you did make a mistake there or couldn't get to the answer, feel free to pause again and just have a read through my solution. Maybe you put a bracket in wrong potentially, or something like that. If you did get the correct answer, very well done, and we'll look at one last problem before we go. Okay, so here's a slightly different problem. Y is equal to x squared plus 2x minus 5. So in this case, we want to identify the a, the b, and the c. And so here I have a as being equal to 1, b is 2, and c is -5, and I've gone ahead and done the initial substitution. Now, if you have a calculator, again, you can type this straight in as it is, or we can work through it with pen and paper. And let's do a little bit of that now. So we have -2 plus minus the square root. 2 squared is 4. This is 4. Minus 4 times 1, which is -4, times -5, which is going to be plus 20. All over 2 times 1, which is 2. Now I have -2 plus minus the square root of 20 plus 4, which is 24, all over 2. Great. So the difference here with this kind of problem is you can see that 24 is not a square number. If it was 25, we could take the square root to give us 5. But for 24, we can't take the square root of this. What you could do if you have a calculator is you could put it into your calculator will give you the answer. If you do not, then there's a couple of different things you can do. You could simplify this further. So we could write this as minus 2 over 2 plus minus the square root of 24 over 2. Now 2 over 2 is just 1, so this is minus 1 plus minus the square root of 24 over 2. And this has actually been simplified now. We could, if we wanted to, write this as one root as well. So if we needed to simplify it further, then we could say that this is going to be minus 1 plus minus the square root of 24 over, now 2 is the square root of 4. So we have minus 1 plus minus, and so this is the square root of 24 over 4, and 24 divided by 4 is 6. So this is minus 1 plus minus the square root of 6. And if you have gone and typed this into your calculator, maybe at this point here, your calculator will have taken you to this answer by itself. But it is possible to do it by pen and paper if you need. Now, if you're asked to leave your answer in exact form, you would leave it like this. If you're asked to leave it as a decimal, you need to press the SD button on your calculator. That will convert it into a decimal for you. If you don't have a calculator, then this is as far as you can go. So this is exact. So if you're asked for it exact, it's like so. And then if you want it to, let's say, 2 significant figures, then you would use your calculator, and your calculator will tell you that x is 1.45 or x is minus 3.45. And so either one of those two solutions is correct, depending on what the question asks you for. Okay, thank you very much for watching my video. I really hope that was helpful to you. And I also have a video on how to factorize and also how to solve quadratics more generally, and I'll link both into the description for you.